Should we kick this bad boy off?
Be gentle.
I always am.
Oh, goodness.
Well, hello. Welcome to this week's edition of The Wheelhouse. We're pretty excited. It's Tour de France time, Giro Donne time. And look, Joel Spreadborough is nowhere to be found. He's having a bit of a rough week, bit of a back injury. So, slung off his wheel, Merksy, you're in the studio with me.
I'm back, and I've done research this time. I've got notes. Hopefully
Excellent.
a little bit better prepared.
Have you gone cover to cover on the Ride Tour de France guide?
Yes, every night in bed it accompanies me.
Excellent. How romantic.
Yeah.
All right, what are we covering this week?
Big show, Kate. Obviously, it's tour time, our favourite time of year, aside from Christmas. We have got the tour coming up, as well as Cav's secret weapon, what he's going to do to win that stage at the Tour de France. A 7-time green jersey winner is in strife. We can probably not talk about that. The women's Giro Donne is starting in a day or so, and our mate Rupe has rampaged across America.
Oh, I see what you did there. Rampaged.
Very good,
Through
huh?
the ramp.
You like
yeah.
that? You like that? That's good.
I do. Well done. Let's dive into the Tour de France because there's so much to cover. And when we were sitting down to do our rundown, we were like, goodness, where do you start? There are just so many things that we could go through.
It's so exciting.
It is so exciting. You know, I love my fun facts. You said you've done your prep. So
Yeah.
what are your fun facts?
You know I love numbers.
I do.
So I've got some. It's obviously 21 days, 22 teams, 176 riders are starting. Guaranteed not that many will finish. 3,405 kilometres. And get this, they have to ride 6 times the elevation of Mount Everest.
6 times. About 56,467 vertical metres,
Correct,
I believe.
correct.
Heavens.
Yeah. So there's some facts for you.
All right.
And a record number of Aussies are starting this year's race, which is so exciting for us.
It is. We'll jump into who those Aussies are. But can I throw some of my fun facts at you?
Love it.
This year's Tour de France, it starts in Bilbao, so it's in Spain, in Basque Country. I wouldn't so much call it a Tour de France. I would say it is a tour across France, not around. It starts in the southwest, it heads to the northwest, and then a big transfer to Paris. But there's a lot more France they don't cover than they do, like, you know, the large majority of the north and the large majority of the south. And not in there, but it's a pretty mountainous course this year. Our oldest rider this year is Dries Devenins. Now, he starts the tour at 39 years and 344 days, which means on stage 20, he's going to celebrate his 40th birthday.
Oh, good on him. He's still quite a bit younger than me.
Happy we'll just keep going with that line.
Moving on.
Aussie Simon Clark, he's about 5th or 6th eldest in the race, and he turns 37 on stage 16. He won a stage last year, so one of the guys, he's old, but he's kicking on.
Serious question. What will he eat on his birthday night?
Oh, I would assume a giant cake. I hope for him a giant cake. And the youngest is Quinn Cinnamon
donut.
He should be eating that at some point
Yes.
because he's the newly crowned US national champion. He's 22 years and 54 days old. So, we've got like an 18-year differential
Spread.
between the youngsters and the more elite. I also figured out that of the 209 support vehicles that the Tour de France provided by Skoda, 207 of them are electric vehicles or hybrid.
Good.
So that's great.
I've said this for a long time. Why don't they have more electric vehicles in the caravan?
I know. I think it's a very good job from Skoda. And they're coming up now to 20 years supporting the Tour de France, which is pretty cool.
You drive a Skoda?
I do drive a Skoda, a Kodiaq. It's a beautiful Skoda. We're going to talk about who's out, but I wanted to say that because Sam Bennett is out, I'm going to kick this conversation off. It means there's no Irish rider at the Tour de France at all.
Stop it.
I know. I feel like
That's-
Sam Bennett's kind of been rejected more than a contestant on The Bachelorette. Like the poor fella. He goes to Bora, doesn't work. He goes to Quickstep, doesn't work. He comes back to Bora and he'll be sitting on the sofa digesting the tour in that fashion.
Yeah, there's a few eyebrow raisers this week in news of people who are not going to be there on the start line. The big one, I think, Froome.
Froome.
Not going to be there, Kate.
No, and not happy about it.
Not happy.
He posted some lovely photos on his social media of him preparing for the tour. But he threw something a little bit spicy out there, saying when he wasn't included, kind of blaming, in a very broad way, blaming his equipment.
Yeah, saw that. It's, I don't know, what do you think? Philip Gilbert?
Philippe Gilbert. It's
There you go.
it's the worst name though, right? Because for Aussies, it's Philip Gilbert.
Yeah, Philip Gilbert.
So we can call him Phil Gill.
He made some comments during the week saying that it's no surprise to him that Froome's out. And,
No, I mean, it's this is interesting because I love watching Chris Froome race. I've met him; he's a lovely fella as well. And when you meet them and they're nice, it makes you kind of want to cheer for them more. I've got to say that.
You met him at Worlds.
I did, and but I also met him at the Tour Down Under, big fan favourite. Now, the thing about Chris Froome is when Israel Premier Tech signed him, they didn't sign him necessarily because they thought he could win a Tour de France again. They signed him because everybody is watching him. It's a really good story, and he's great for publicity. I think that they've gotten to a point now with their team where they don't necessarily need him for that anymore. At the Giro, we saw Derek G, and gee, wasn't he impressive?
Boom!
Boom dish.
That's
and
very cool.
at the tour, they've got Michael Woods. We've got Simon Clark, of course. Like, it's a really impressive and solid team lineup. If they're not racing for Froome for GC, then they've got a lot of other things to focus on. So, yeah, but I'm still bummed because I still think from a fan and PR perspective, I would have loved to see him there.
Yeah, me too. I like Froome. Another one, Greg Van Avermaet.
Oh, this
Out.
is a bit spicy too. He expressed his disappointment. It's fair to say he's also not happy. He along the lines of he would have thought he'd be given more respect.
Yeah, it would have been his 10th Tour de France, and he had been training hard to be there. So, bit of a shock.
Well, I don't like odd numbers. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a big fan of 3, 5, 7 or 9. So it would be very offensive to me to ride 9 Tours de France but not get the 10th. Week.
No.
So, yeah, it's I mean, I think that, again, if you look at where he's at, you don't take someone to the Tour de France just cause. Wait, as soon as I said that, I thought, no, there's an exception. This will be controversial. Cycling's favourite goat farmer, Pinot, he is going to the Tour de France, but he's going in the place of Arnaud Demar.
Yeah, who is also not happy.
Dear. Geez, they're ranking up, aren't they? Now, he said that he's focused his entire season, very GVA-like, on the tour. He's in great form.
Well, they're not the best of friends.
No, look, Demar is not the best of friends with many of the riders, even in his own team, to be honest. He's a bit controversial. I'm not a huge fan of his racing style, I'll say that. Don't know him personally, though, so I won't throw shade in that direction. But Pinot will entertain. Look, I'd love to see him win a stage race, but more than that, this is his final Tour de France, and he is a cult figure in France. And for anybody who's been watching along with Unchained, you will know just how much the French people love him. And I feel like it would be an absolute travesty to not take him in his final year when he was so animated at the Giro, to not take him. So I support the inclusion of him on that one.
Very good. Well, there's also some, positive news on who is going to be there, and making his debut is Biniam Girmay, which is fantastic because I love that fella.
Yes, we are very excited that he's coming along, not just because he has the ability to really animate the sprint stages and do some wonderful things. I think last season when he pulled out of the Giro after the champagne cork popping incident straight into his eye, which shall be known as the incident. I think
Cork eye.
Oh, I like
Hawkeye.
that.
That's
yeah,
good, right?
And for any fans of MASH, it's very close to Hawkeye.
Very good.
I liked him. But the young Eritrean, he's only 23. He is also so popular and an incredible, incredible role model for the African continent on this level. And I just think it's sensational to have him there.
Well, he mentioned that. He said in a quote that when he was a young boy, he thought that cycling was just for European people. So it's, a dream come true for him, which is just fantastic.
Oh, gee. I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement, isn't it? Imagine that you grow up watching something and don't see yourself and think that no matter what you do, you're excluded just because of the colour of your skin. I mean, I must say it's not something I've experienced and it's hard to understand, but what an incredible, powerful statement. I'd love to see him win a stage or two.
Yeah.
He'll be knocking some of my favies off the perch if he does so. I'm looking at you, Wout van Aert, but still a big supporter.
Another great return, if you like, is Egan Bernal. He'll be starting the 2023 Tour de France. Yes,
I'm very happy to see him back. I mean, he has talked quite emotionally about what it's like to be back on the start line. Of course, he missed last year's. Most fans have followed along his injury journey after a horrific accident that he was lucky to live through, let alone be able to be at this level again. And I think the expectations from him personally might be quite high because he's been there, done that in terms of performing at Grand Tours. But I think from fans we can just expect him to be back, to be competitive and just cheer him along, whatever his journey looks like. It's a great story of resilience and courage, and I love when the Colombian fans go bananas at the Tour, and they do. They literally go nuts. Any football fans remember what the Football World Cup was like, and with the Colombian fans. So, yeah, I think it's pretty cool to have him back.
Now, we mentioned in our opener there that Mark Cavendish has a secret weapon. Now, I'm getting to the reason why I'm bringing this up with people, starting in the Tour. But Mark Renshaw is returning to help Cav break that record.
But to be
Explain
clear,
that. He's not riding.
No, he's returning in a supporting capacity as a team consultant.
Yes.
For Mark Cavendish.
Well, I'm calling him the secret weapon.
Ooh.
Righto?
The Mark M squared.
Yeah.
I think there's a documentary in this whole thing.
Yeah.
In the M squared. The Marks.
So just for those who don't know, explain a bit about Renshaw and why that's a big deal.
Well, Mark Renshaw and Mark Cavendish used to be besties on the bike and besties off the bike. And unfortunately, one of the Mark squared retired early. That's Mark Renshaw, of course. But they were the most dynamic lead-out and sprinter team almost that the world of cycling has seen. If we look back through history, they're one of the strongest partnerships. The Mark squared won 6 stages of the Tour together in lead-out sprint fashion. And let's be honest, Mark Cavendish needs a little work if he's going to win this record-breaking stage.
Especially because Geraint Thomas isn't going to be there to lead him out.
Yeah, well, he's only had one victory this year, the final stage of the Giro. And he got a wonderful, massive lead-out from the fella who ultimately finished second, so fair to say was in good form. I don't know. I mean, I hope that his Astana team are taking it well, as in his teammates. The team management obviously are taking it seriously by bringing Mark Renshaw into support. But how would you feel if you were one of his purported lead-out fellas?
Well, true. But what do you think Renshaw can offer, though?
He can offer, forgetting anything on the bike, reassurance and confidence and calm to Cavendish because they've got just that wonderful relationship together. He can also offer some great strategy to the riders who are in charge of leading him out. He can also offer some great strategy to Cavendish when he's getting a little bit lost. I mean, Cavendish has such a brilliant racing mind, but Renshaw has a bit of a different view of it all, and you put them together and I think it gives Cavendish a bigger arsenal to draw from when he's getting the good lead-outs, when he's perhaps not getting the good lead-outs, and just general race strategy and calm. So I think it's a brilliant idea. I don't know why they didn't do it earlier.
Yeah, well, does that show just how seriously he's taking this record? Like to bring him on just for that?
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but inevitably he'll get interviewed before the race starts and he'll be asked about the record and he'll say it's not important to him, blah, 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 don't believe it. I think that this is a sure sign that even if he doesn't care about it, Astana do.
I predict he'll break the record.
Ooh, early prediction.
And there'll be tears because he's an emotional guy, and I don't care what he says. It's a super important thing for him in his final year of racing.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's like the history of the sport depends on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I share the same view that he will get it, but it would be a fairy tale.
Guaranteed.
So I hope so.
On the Champs-Élysées, perhaps.
Oh, see that? I mean, that is the fairy tale, right?
Hopefully they're doing Unchained again.
I hope so too. They haven't confirmed it.
Surely.
Actually, I did a bit of digging this morning in my role as principal researcher for myself. But I couldn't find anything about it being confirmed. I don't know. I have a bit of a thought that after this series, there might be a few teams and potentially team directors, Alperson, De Koning, I'm looking at you, who maybe didn't come across as well as they thought they could. Mark Matteo is the nicest team director on the whole circuit based on watching Unchained. But I do wonder if they might be hesitant to be involved or they might reconsider their management style just a little bit based on the feedback.
Well, yeah, we mentioned there's a record number of Aussies starting. So let's go through them a little bit. Here's a bit of a fact for you. Only France, Belgium and Netherlands have a bigger contingent
How cool
of
is that?
TDF competitors.
That's so good.
pretty cool.
Now, this is the equal number. I think I threw a bum steer earlier when I declared it was absolutely the most. We did have 12 start in 2012, but we've got 12 again. We haven't had over 10. We had 10 in 2021, but it's been kind of around the 8 and 9. So this is a really good year to have the Aussies there. But more than that, they're not just there to make up numbers.
They are not. I mean, I'm thinking we might see Mr. Glutes O'Connor on or near the podium.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. We've got a debutant in Matt Dinham. He's riding for Team DSM, 23 years of age, so one of the youngest riders in the race. He's a really exciting rider to me. I've seen him progress from NRS level to under 23 World Championship competitor to be picked up by a pro team. And I think it's really exciting to have him there. But Team DSM is pretty much the new Aussie team. Like
Sam Welsford.
it used to be Jake Awalula,
Yeah.
but now it's Team DSM flying the flag because they've got also Sam Welsford, they've got Chris Hamilton there, and Alex Edmondson. So 4 just from DSM. Over at Bora, of course, we've got Jai Hindley.
Yes.
He is definitely big highlighter over his name. He and Emmanuel Bookman will kind of spearhead Bora's GC chances. And we saw last year with Jumbo how positive it can be when you go in with a joint leadership approach, taking a bit of pressure off. We've, of course, got Glutes O'Connor.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Glutes
at,
and Jack Haig.
Jack Haig, he's at Bahrain. In Team Jake Awalula, we've got Luke Durbridge and Chris Harper, the 2 Aussies there.
And no bling this year.
No. Look, I don't think that's a
We're
bad
watching
thing
on TV.
necessarily. I think we love watching him race and how dynamic he is, but he can't do it all. He can't entertain us at the Giro, at the...
No. Is he focusing on Worlds?
You know, I think that it's a really good course for him because it's a pretty
Second in
sprintery
Wollongong,
course. Right? Oh, God. He's been the bridesmaid a few times. I'd love to see him step up.
Yeah.
Wrapping out the 12, we can't look past Caleb Ewan, seeing him come back.
Well,
Lotto Destiny.
No, I'm excited about the sprints.
Yes.
All the sprints that we're going to see. The battle of the sprints.
Well, look, he's also celebrating a birthday on stage 10 of the tour as well. Turns 29, so not quite into another decade.
Spring chicken.
Spring chicken. And, of course, Simon Clark, our other birthday boy, and Nick Schultz at Israel Premier Tech. So, for the most part, like Jack Haig, Jai Hin Lee, Ben O'Connor and Caleb Ewan are on their own in their teams, but well established. The rest of them have got some mates out there, some Aussie mates. So I think strong contingent for the Aussie Cup.
Yes,
because that's that's a competition that goes on, whether it's recognised formally or not.
No, absolutely. Now we need to talk about the big rivalries, Kate.
There are a few big rivalries, aren't there?
Well, there's none bigger than, the two favourites. Can we talk about Pog? Can we talk about Pog and Jonas?
I think it's time to talk about Pog and Jonas.
Yeah.
They're kind of going, I don't know, are they going in as equal favourites?
Well, I have not placed a bet in my life on anything, right? But I do look up the odds.
Oh, okay.
Right, to
all
see
right.
where
So what are the odds?
punters are putting their money. And Jonas gets the majority of the punters' tips, right? So they think Jonas is going to win the Tour de France. But then there's a couple of publications that have, that should know, that have written they're backing Tade, right?
Ooh, okay.
But I reckon that Jonas has the better team and the better support. And so I think I'm tipping him.
Well, okay. I mean, I think that UAE goes in as the number one ranked team in the world. They've had 39 victories this season, so eyeballs on them. But Jumbo, technically the second ranked team in the world, but they've actually had 42 wins this season.
But does any of that matter when it comes tour time?
Yeah, I think it does, because it shows from both of them that they know how to work as a team and they know how to get results, and it's not just one rider on UAE or over at Jumbo who have been getting these results. Certainly Pog will come in with a really different attitude to other years, because he'll have the confidence that he knows he can win it, but he also doesn't have the pressure of coming in.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The pressure is not really on him.
Incumbent. No, well, and the wrist as well, right? Like, he seems pretty confident, but we'll see a fair bit in the first week, I think. If he comes in really hot, I'd be surprised. And if he comes in on red hot form in week one, I can only see his form getting better, and I'd be a bit concerned if I was his competitors about that.
Yeah, but I mean, Jumbo's got Wout on the team. I mean, what a good helper he is.
Jumbo has got such a cracker team.
Laporte.
I'm going to flip through my notes here. I don't think I write notes more than when it's tour time. I just have notebooks full of stuff. They've got Van Aert, Van Baarle, Sepp Kuss. I mean, come on. Anybody would want him as their number one lieutenant. Christophe Laporte, he could win many stages on his own. Kelderman, Tish Benoot, and of course, Jonas, my Danish cousin, kind of, sort of. But
the fisherman.
The fisherman. Probably the issue, I think, for Jumbo is that there's so many of the riders who could win stages in their own right. And thanks to the look behind the curtain with Unchained, we know that did cause a bit of tension last year around Wout van Aert. He handled it beautifully.
Well, just on that, he just came out this week and sort of, I think, to put to bed some of those fires. And he said he'll be contesting many of the sprint stages. So he's put that out there himself, which I thought was interesting.
Well, and he's also said he's not going for the green jersey. So, but if he's going for the sprint stages, that's a bit of inconsistency in those two statements. But if they can manage it and manage all the egos and the ambitions like they did last year, I think they're going to be hard to beat. Whereas I think over at UAE, the full focus is on getting Podge up. So
I'd love to see Jay Vine there helping him out.
I'd love to as well.
How good would that be?
He's had a tough year. I think
has.
that we might have to defer to another year to really see him shine bright. But we can't overlook teams like Ineos. We've got Feathers Pidcock lining up there.
Yes.
Remember, he's the Olympic champion on the mountain bike. We talk about him in many ways. When I say we, I mean cycling commentators. Like, he's super talented, but he's pretty young and new to it. But actually, in many regards, he's an old hand, and we've seen all of the videos of how incredibly he can descend. Because he comes from mountain bikes, he's got such good skills. And watching him go down a climb, down a descent, is almost edge of the seat.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
Watching it really
the
is
skills
extraordinary.
that guy has.
Yeah, and the comfort doing it too.
And the courage.
The courage. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, let's not forget about the elephant in the room when it comes to descending and whatnot after what happened in the Tour of Swiss with Gino Mader. I think that the attitude to that might be a little bit different now.
Yeah.
And again, I guess we'll see how that plays out. And good luck to the teams navigating that element of it.
Yeah, and
I would say.
Tom Pidcock also mentioned that that has made him think twice and about just how dangerous it is.
It's interesting that some of the media in the past have gone pretty hard covering and critiquing how people descend and whether they descend well, criticising them if they don't, championing them if they do. I'm wondering if some of that rhetoric will change a bit for this tour.
Yeah, likely, I would suggest.
Wait and see.
Now, more rivalries. Can we talk about the sprinters? Because it's going to be cracking. It's going
to be exciting. I'm seeing your face light up, like you're a young child standing in front of a candy store. And can I just put it out there? I don't think Peter Sagan is going to win the green jersey or a stage. Can I just?
Well,
before we talk sprints, can I just say that?
Things aren't going well in his final year on the road. But there are so many. Like, who is going to win the green jersey? Who are the contenders?
Ooh, I mean,
Michael Matthews isn't there.
No.
Wout. I mean, Gourmet.
Says he's not, but come on now. I think Biniam Gourmet could be in a good position if he's consistent to do so. Mark Cavendish will be there or thereabouts in a lot of the sprints as well. It kind of depends on how hard they're racing in the hilly and the intermediate stages, because what we saw at the Giro and what we've seen in the Tour in the past is the field so exhausted that they let a lot of breaks go on what could be sprint stages. Or some of the bigger teams choose not to really use their energy to chase things back because of what's coming. So the first week we'll get a bit more of an idea about how that's all playing out. But stage one starts with a pretty hilly, tough stage. So from the get-go, the sprinters will be trying to survive a little bit. And look, Demar's been left at home. A lot of teams have made decisions not to necessarily bring a big loaded sprint team. But does this open up an opportunity for Caleb Ewan?
Ooh,
that'd be good.
Hello. This is what I mean. There's so many possibilities when it comes to the green jersey this year.
Yeah, I would
I'm
really,
excited.
really be emotionally scarred if Caleb Ewan has another photo finish at the Tour de France, because this year his whole season has been defined by what he hasn't won when throwing his bike to the line. Now, he gets a lot of interest and praise because of his small stature and his ability to get so low in the sprints. People have tried to emulate that. Parents around the globe are saying, don't try that at home, kids, because of how extreme it is. But I'm going to put it out there that really disadvantages him when it comes to a photo finish, because you know what short legs generally mean?
Tell me.
Short arms.
Oh, yeah.
So when he's throwing for the line, he doesn't quite have the same gusto as Wout van Aert.
No. Well, the good thing is, at the Tour, they have far superior technology to decide those photo finishes. So that is a
Oh,
good thing.
so you're saying that if he is in a photo finish, we'll be more comfortable
with the result.
with the result.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll pay that.
Thank you. All right. Now, there's a bunch of new jerseys in the Tour de France peloton. First of all, I guess we should mention Lidl Trek.
Yes. Well, Lidl Trek have had a pretty good outing all around.
They have.
So we've got a number of new jerseys. They put out a competition, if you recall, to design a new Trek Lidl jersey. And where are we going to pop those logos? Well, they haven't taken a lot of the inspiration on board, I've got to say.
No, it's a bit boring, isn't it?
The Lidl
it's a bit average.
Logo is just front and centre. It's just smack in the middle of the jersey. But Matthias Skjelmoser, who just quietly I'm very excited about, he and the whole Danish contingent at the Tour de France. I just think, aside from the fact that the pronunciation of most of their names is nigh on impossible for the Australians, they're a very exciting team. But he is a new national champion of Denmark, and of course that is normally a red jersey with a white cross in the middle of it. A little bit different to Swiss champions jersey, but not that different. Anyway, it's got a giant Lidl in the middle of the flag.
Yes.
So, I mean, good real estate for Lidl, but not sure about that. And aside from sponsor changes, and of course, Jumbo are always in a different jersey at the Tour because they can't wear their distinct
the yellow.
Yellow.
Well, we've got the national champions
These
jerseys.
new national champions. Well, we're not going to see the Slovenian one much, I don't reckon, because that's Pogačar again. So that may be covered up fairly quickly in either a yellow jersey or a white jersey from the young riders. Richard Carapaz is rocking it for Ecuador. Fred Wright. Now, he won the British National Championships. Right said Fred.
Right said Fred.
And so he'll be rocking the GB colours. He's so cool, Bahrain victorious. We talked about him a lot last year because he just has a certain panache. And even the way he talks to media, he's very upfront, but he lets himself be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really take any crap when he's asked bad questions. That has happened lately. So warning be to any of the journos at the Tour who want to throw Right Said Fred a tough question.
Hello, Sophie.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
watching?
Hey, Sophie Smith. Shout out to her. She's going to bring us some incredible content.
She just arrived.
And when I say we, the wheelhouse hasn't contracted her over there, but we will see if we can get...
we'll read her articles.
Yes, we'll see if we can get a few words from Soph. But we've got the likes of Quinn Simmons from the US in the jersey, Lutsenko at Astana. He'll be in the Kazakh jersey again. Esteban Chavez rocking it for Colombia. There's 13 in total. Dylan Van Baarle at Jumbo is another one we will notice very, very well. But I just love having the champions jerseys on the start line, and having 13 in the road race and 10 in the time trial is pretty cool. Again, I'm just a bit bummed we don't have any of the Aussie champions there.
No, well, one other jersey we won't see is the rainbow jersey of Remco.
Well, he's also now the Belgian champion. Belgian road champion. So isn't he getting a little bit greedy with his jerseys?
He'll need a bigger wardrobe.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the reality is we won't see then the Belgian champions jersey for the first 6 months.
No.
Or 3 months, I suppose, because we've got an earlier Worlds this year.
Yeah.
But he could win it again.
Yeah, he's got more jerseys than the Parramatta Eels, Kate.
Oh, look, the Parramatta Eels jerseys are all equally as classy as Remco's. Thank you very much.
Yes. Very
My
good.
goodness.
Oh, it's so exciting. Now, of course, it starts this Saturday night. SBS, Keno and the team there from 8:40 starts streaming.
Thank you to them, to the riders, for getting up early for us. 8:40 is like quite civilised.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yes. That,
Reasonable
late nights,
hours
early
for the Aussie
mornings
fans.
again.
Yes,
Here goes the
welcome to July.
bags under the eyes and, lots
Yes.
of coffee.
I've
early.
on social media, people have been the ladies in particular have been joking about stocking up on eye cream for the month of July. So at work, people don't realise how sleep deprived we are.
There'll be a lot more people working from home.
Yes, indeed.
During 3 weeks.
If you happen to work for the Commonwealth Bank, bad luck.
Yes,
They're
sorry,
not
guys.
letting you work from home at the moment.
Now, there's another significant bike race happening. Starts tomorrow, which is, what's tomorrow? Friday.
30th of June.
It's the Giro. How do you
The Giro Donne.
Giro Donne.
Yes.
The race that was maybe not going to happen, but it is happening.
Well, yes, haven't we discussed
They
quite
paid
a
the
number
prize
of
money.
tips? Yes, they paid the prize money. They've confirmed the media coverage, although, TBC on what's actually going to happen there. But 9 stages, 968 kilometres, kicks off with a 4.4 kilometre prologue in Toscana. They do have TV coverage. We're not sure what it's going to look like just yet, but we will definitely be pushing that out on our Twitter and Instagram because, it always kind of riles me, the timing of the Women's Giro, because 95% of the world's media are looking at the Tour de France and a women's Grand Tour is going on and they're essentially jumping up and down and saying, hey, look at us too. So I want to make sure we can all kind of get around that, and
well, there's a
support
few notable absentees that
There are
not going to be showing up.
Well, traditionally, the Giro Donne was the biggest tour on the calendar, but now that we've got the Tour de France Femme, which starts just a couple of weeks after. So the Giro Donne finishes on July 9th. Tour de France Femme avec Zwift starts on the 23rd of July. So, not a lot there. But who we do have, we think, because the start list is
team list. No
not
start
yet
list.
confirmed.
What's that about?
Can you believe that?
Yes, I can.
Yes, because it's this race we can. Is Marianne Vos
Yes.
and Annemiek van Vleuten.
Yes.
So van Vleuten is chasing her 4th title. Marianne Vos, she's also chasing her 4th title.
Her what title?
Full
Right, nice.
Fabiana Luperini, the Italian, is the only one who's won 5. 3 of those were on the trot, so she's got a solid record. Anna van der Breggen has won 4. In the last 13 years, the Dutch have won it 10 out of the 13 editions.
Incredible.
If Van Vleuten and or Marianne Vos were to win, really it's kind of becoming the Dutch Cup because then they wouldn't take the overall record off Luperini, but they would take it, they would get in the history books for the Dutch. So
Now, there's also, like the TDF, some new national champions jerseys at this bike race.
there are the national championships, of course, last weekend was held. So we'll see some of those riders heading out on that. We'll jump into those in a moment, but I just want to highlight the Aussies that are involved because we've got 7 Aussies, and that's quite a lot. That's quite cool to have 7 Aussies out there.
Tiff Cromwell.
She's leading.
She's captain.
Yeah, she's captain for Canyon SRAM. We've got Sarah Roy there as well. Great to see Sarah back. She's had also a tough start of the season, which included a broken tailbone and then a very giant piece of the Milton velodrome went through her thigh. Not pleasant pictures, but if you're into it, go check out Sarah Roy's social media because it is quite interesting. But we've also got Neve Bradbury on Canyon SRAM. Now, she did really well, kind of rose to prominence through Zwift Academy. Young rider, but a huge amount of talent. She's a climber. She's only 21 years of age. I think that we can put a highlighter over her. We've also got, from Team Jake Olula, Ruby Roseman Gannon and Georgia Baker, both sprinters. So hello, talking about the sprint jersey.
Love it.
Loretta Hansen is at Lidl Trek and Ella Simpson at Born to Win G20 Ambedo. So that's just a local team that have gotten a wild card. But it will be really great to see her out there as well. An interesting one, I think, is the dynamic, and it doesn't happen in the men's so much, is that because it's so close to the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, we've got some pretty notable exclusions from the race.
Yeah, well, take us through who's not going to be. Demi Vollering.
Demi Vollering.
Not
Not there.
Lotta Kopecky.
Lotta Kopecky. Also not there.
there.
Grace Brown. Not there.
Why
The
is
Aussie.
Grace Brown not there?
Well, because they're getting ready
Oh,
for the
she's-
Tour de
yeah,
France
okay.
avec Zwift.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I think that that's, one of the biggest things about this race is that we've got a few kind of mixed teams. Some of them are sending A teams.
But won't
Demi
there be a
Vollering.
lot of ladies that are doing both?
Yeah, but it really depends how they prepare. And we were talking about national champions jerseys. Demi Vollering, who won over in the Netherlands, she won't be there, and so that'll be a shame not to see that. Of course, we talked about Remco in the men. It's also a shame that he won't be there. So yeah, it'll be an interesting race though. So stick to the coverage, people. I would say
Remco
that.
definitely won't be.
No, but I mean at the Tour de Thank you, Merksy.
No, that's all.
Well, and the
very
other
good.
thing I want to say, there's a fella on Twitter by the name of Mark Pryor who does 7 Nations Cup or 8 Nations, where you pick a rider from each country to create a bit of a dream team for the event. Now, he is running a 7 Nations for the Giro. So if you check out Mark Pryor on internet and the hashtag 7 Nations Giro, you can get involved in that and pick that. We will be getting behind that. We've got a bit of work to do because we've also got to pick our 8 Nations.
Yes, this is on Twitter, right?
Tour de France. It is on Twitter, yeah. But it's a really cool thing to be involved in and see how you go.
Now, why am I wearing this shirt?
Oh, yes. Well, let me describe this shirt because a lot of people are listening and not watching. It is a T-shirt, blue base.
Thanks to Champion System.
Thanks to Champ Systems. It has a lot of beautiful flowers on them. You're a bit of a green thumb gardener. What kind of flowers are they, Maxie?
Well, they're tropical flowers.
Tropical flowers. It also says Escape over the front of it because this was dreamed up by the fellas over at Escape Collective and Team Rupe.
I think actually that's a hibiscus.
A hibiscus.
It's a hibiscus.
There we are.
Very tropical.
Yeah, very tropical. So
Loud like Rupe's shirts.
you're not sitting here with a cocktail in your hand.
No.
You're supporting Rupe because
Not yet.
Rupe has made his way across America.
He made it. He made it.
Boom. He did. 4,800 kilometres worth, no less. And he was met at the finish line where he won the 60 to 69 category by his beautiful partner Lizzie, and they've been on quite a journey together. Last year it did not go to plan and he had to pull out pretty early in the stage, but this year a bit of a dream for him, and he did say that he could hardly believe it because for him it was just proving that he could do it. And I think we can all agree that 4,800 kilometres without many breaks is a long day in the saddle. And a bit of a shout out to Gary Harmer, his crew chief, who did an amazing job getting him there.
Yeah. Very good. Congrats
Yes.
to Rupe.
Well, before we go, though, we're going to talk about something that you've been desperate to try and get off the rundown.
No. We don't need to talk about
And
this. Thanks for-
no. Look, we've lined it up. I want you to play an audio clip for us because we're going to talk about why is Peter Sagan in the doghouse? Why is he in trouble?
Righto, here it is.
Hi, I'm reaching out to tell you I'm deeply sorry for screwing up during a moment of weakness. I would like to apologize to my family, my friends, my team, our sponsors, and everybody that supported me. I committed to learn from this mistake and becoming a better person in the future.
Well, that was him on Instagram. Okay, you wanted to play it?
Yep.
There you go.
So what's he in strife for, Mercy? Your hero.
I think
a
we're out
fallen
of time,
hero.
aren't we out of time? It's not good timing for Peto.
It is not.
He got done for drink driving. DUI.
Drink driving, more specifically, reckless driving on a scooter.
Yeah.
on a motor scooter.
Uh,
He, at 11:35 in the morning,
yeah.
bit of a bender.
He was out till 3 a.m. drinking at a number of nightclubs with some mates. And in the morning, he was breathalyzed by police. And, yes, he blew quite a lot over the limit.
6 times over the limit, to be honest. Now,
Oh, dear.
all jokes aside, Merksy, I know he's a bit of your hero. You love him.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things about this story that don't sit right with me. The first of which is this was on the 12th of May this year. So we're
Yes.
talking about a fella who is now competing with guys who on the 12th of May were racing a lap around Italy, getting fit. And from a competitive point of view, I'm just not really sure why he's doing this. He's in his final year of racing. I would have thought he could hang on for another 12 months. We've evolved beyond this kind of behaviour. And, David Boone
I feel like I'm getting a lecture.
No.
Like
David-
I did something wrong.
David Boone and his 32 beers on a plane, that's the time of old for athletes. But also just he's a role model. Come on,
Yeah, I mean,
pedo.
that's a
crappy.
really
It's a
stupid
crappy thing to do.
and could have been a lot worse,
It is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's super disappointing. I do notice that he didn't mention what actually happened in his statement there that
Well,
he put out on Instagram.
From a let's humanise it a little bit because he's going to get a little bit blasted in terms of just doing this and the inappropriateness of it. But he also got done for drink driving in November 2021. I think it's fair to say he has a bit of an issue. And I hope that he's getting some support because when you're in a good headspace, you're not doing this. This has happened 2 times in the last couple of years. So let's throw a bit of support around him to make sure he gets some help. But sorry, Merksy. Sorry to bring your hero into the shade a
but
little.
He's still got worlds, not to mention the Tour de France, but also he wants to represent his country in mountain bike. So I don't know. You don't go on benders if you plan to do that.
Not really consistent with what he's saying his goals are,
I
is it?
wouldn't have thought so.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Well, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground here. Before we go, I do want to say another big shout out to Sophie Smith, who is over there and covering some awesome stuff. The crew from SBS, Christophe Mallet, must be an absolute baguette camembert-laden heaven.
I've seen him on
for
socials getting amongst the French cuisine.
And Maddie Keenan is leading the commentary team with Simon Gerrans, and Bridie O'Donnell is over there as well. And I love having a female voice on the coverage, which is fantastic. And so good luck to them and to Gracie Elvin and Dave McKenzie. They've got a pretty solid team out there. They'll be keeping us awake and entertained for the next month.
Just before we do go, though, the first stage starts in Basque.
Oh, in Basque Country,
right?
it does.
I've never been there, but can you explain
Well,
where that is and what that is?
I'm glad you asked because
you're
we know
welcome.
I love a deep dive and
You
a little
love a deep
research
dive.
project. So I've thrown
kind of
myself
why I asked.
vigorously into this. Bilbao is the home of the Guggenheim Museum, if nothing else. Google the Guggenheim. Beautiful, beautiful building on the river in Bilbao. It's in the northwest of Spain, in the Basque region, or the Basque Country, as they like to say. It's no secret that they have tried to be their own country over the years, but it is a beautiful part of Spain. Interesting for many reasons, but they've been big supporters of cycling, especially women's cycling, with Bizkaia, which is one of the regions in the Basque Country. And you'd be familiar with their name if you've watched women's cycling because they have a Bizkaia Durango women's team that's been there for a long time. But it's also a really interesting region in the history of cycling because of the Tour of the Basque Country that we see. San Sebastian Classica is on there as well. Euskadi, Euskatel, the very prominent orange team that are now a pro tour but have been represented at many tours, come from this region as well. And it's a shame Joel's not here for the pronunciation part because Merxy, the language, the Basque language, is quite complicated. It's actually, it's called Euskara. It's not even related to Spanish or French, so it's quite a unique dialect and language. And it has a lot of characters in it that are not very friendly to the English accent or tone. So you know whether, when you're looking at a team of Spanish names, whether they are from the Basque country or not, because their names often have Zs in it that we don't know how to pronounce.
I've just done a little search on my phone, and it says it's a hub of architecture and design where gritty factories and shipyards give way to cutting-edge landmarks such as the titanium-clad Guggenheim Museum.
Oh, it is beautiful, yes. And they've had about, I think, 36 editions of the Vuelta have started or finished in Bilbao. So, yeah, it's on the Atlantic coast, beautiful Bay of Biscay, and very good tourist destination. So if you're into it, get over there, watch some bike racing, look at the Guggenheim. We're just warming up for Phil Liggett. He's over with the Americans Broadcasting and Matt Keenan to talk us through the tour monuments.
We've got to start stretching, limbering up. It's the 1st of July.
Yes.
From 8:30.
Chateau Watch, here we come. Well, thank you for joining us for the Wheelhouse. Merxy, tremendous research job you've done this week.
Thank you. I mean, I'm just normally the button pusher, but today I'm multitasking.
You are. And can I just ask, before we head out the door, do you plan on wearing that hibiscus filled shirt out in public, or is it just for the studio?
Of course. No, I'll wear it everywhere.
I'll get photographic
Wore it to
evidence
the beach
of that.
Last week.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Well,
King's
half you
Beach.
like to be on the beach.
Thank you.
But anyway, all right. Well, everybody tune in. Join us on socials. We're going to have a lot of fun during the tour. Get involved with 7 nations for the Giro Donne and 8 nations for the Tour de France. And we'll see you next week. We'll have a bit of commentary, see what happens in the first week and what funny names there are to learn how to pronounce.